Your Second Amendment rights are under attack like no other time in history, and the Second Amendment Foundation needs you to take action now. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris have pledged to make taking away your Second Amendment rights a top priority through gun bans, gun confiscation, government regulations, and even a gun tax. They have aligned themselves with anti-gun activists like billionaire Michael Bloomberg and appoint radicals like Beto O'Rourke as the anti-gun czar. The fight begins now with your text of Protect 2A to 474747. Text Protect 2A to 474747 to pledge your support and become a Second Amendment first responder. Your right to own a gun and protect your family are on the line. Text Protect 2A to 474747 and join the fight to protect your Second Amendment rights. Text Protect 2A to 474747 to pledge your support and become a Second Amendment first responder.
Matter how hard, try to hide. stand by.
You hit the radio bullseye. And the home for everything Second Amendment, concealed carry, the latest gear, reciprocity, legislation, the right to self-protection, and it shall not be infringed. This is Eye on the Target Radio with your hosts, Rob and Amanda.
So here we go, folks. Here we go. So, we typically start our show with some tidbit of information or stuff that we have been doing or the like, but I want to start it with the headline that says, folks, please remove all hand grenades from your items before you drop them off at the local auction house. So someone in all of their belongings that they dropped off at an auction house to have auctioned dropped off a live hand grenade.
Well, you all know some old geezer who thinks he might need one of those, and he collected it for years, and
then he kicked it.
Right, he didn't have a use for it during his lifetime, and now you inherited it.
And you're not knowledgeable enough.
But he did not explain the intricacies of what.
Don't pull the pin, right? Don't pull the pin. January, ATF agents had announced that they were looking for hand grenades that were sold in North Carolina after a teenager had bought one, played with it, pulled the pin, and didn't survive the encounter. So this 6 months later, we're now in another state. So now we're in Danville, Indiana. How does one, if there is, because they had for our lifetime sold the inert war trophies, the MK2 grenades, but they had been deactivated by a hole drilled in them.
Most of them, the bottom of them are drilled out so that they take the compound B out of them.
Uh-huh.
And then also, too, then you can unscrew the top and the fuse and all that stuff comes out of it. That way, if you set it off, you just set off the fuse instead of the whole thing.
Okay.
And most of that, then inside there, the mousetrap's already been flipped and the primer's detonated and all that stuff. So it's
just a thing.
Them.
Now it's just a thing. But so
about an 8-pound thing. So
okay.
It's like you're amazed at how heavy they are, and people got to throw them. You watch them on the old war movies, and they heave them 20, 30 yards. It's like that guy got some
arm strength. Some serious
muscle on my neck just watching him try to throw.
And they practice. So doesn't a heavier? Well, no, it doesn't. A heavier item go farther, but once you get it going, but it's the getting
how much horsepower you got
to get it going.
It moving, that's it.
Okay, because the bigger pumpkins go on the trebuchet, but the trebuchet is the horsepower. So right. that was where my head was, but I forgot that I would be supplying the horsepower trebuchet portion. And probably not supplying it well.
Go out and find a rock in the yard that weighs about as much as a watermelon and see how far you can throw it.
How much does a bowling ball weigh? About 8 pounds?
Little ones are 8 pounds, and they go up to about 16 for big ones. So
okay, so a kid version of a bowling ball. You're right.
Overhand bowling isn't very popular, right? Because it's hard on you.
It's hard. It is hard. But just pay attention to this kind of thing. So if you're inheriting things, know what you've got. And if not, this is where you utilize an expert. Right. But you utilize that expert in a lot of other things that you might inherit.
There's also a lot of bullets out there that you might not want to try to take apart.
Mm-hmm.
Or you want to ask questions before you try to take them apart.
Okay.
So if they got like red and blue stripes on them and stuff like this, your best bet's not to try to take them apart.
Not to try to take them apart. Okay. Well, it's like, we all get a kick out of watching Antique Roadshow, and everybody's answer is, I didn't know that. Look how much that was worth, but I had no idea. So there's stuff in all of our houses that we have no idea.
Right, and some of that stuff was legal at one point, and then later on it got to where it wasn't. And so if you weren't up on the thing, or if you were somewhat anti-government, you didn't bother to turn it in or tell them about it. So sometimes what you have may not be really
what
saleable.
You mean Uncle Frankie anti-government? You mean I came back from the war and it's not anybody? It's not Uncle Sam's job to know what I got. That's what I got.
Right,
my stuff is my stuff, right?
Home, and it's like I don't understand it. they left the machine gun, but they took the oilskin paintings out.
Right. Exactly. A little bit of all of that. So there we go. Hello from Goldsboro, North Carolina, home of Seymour Johnson Air Force Base, the F-15s, and barbecue. But F-15s have definitely made the news this week.
Well, if you got one for sale, now's the time to sell because everybody's wanting one.
Right.
Ever since the president said that you should, to be well armed, yeah.
And our video producer really wants an F-15 E-Strike Eagle. So, because he's got a wish list going on, and he's sharing it with all y'all as to what exactly, as we start to make that long-term birthday list, Christmas list, all of that kind of stuff, he's just put it out there just in hopes that...
Well, you never know when you're going to come across something like that. And
they say throw it out to the universe and see what happens. I'm pretty sure that it is not going to show up to his... I just don't think it's going to show up to South Dakota. I just say it. So,
if it's going to show up anywhere, it's probably South Dakota.
It could be. So the next question I'm being asked, since we're doing this just kind of a random conversation, are there any new Stop Chipman updates? So let's talk about David Chipman for a minute. So the committee that he was...
What I understood, they're deadlocked at 11 on 11, so that means that it has to go to the full...
It is coming out of committee. If that had been 12-10 in the anti-Chipman version, it wouldn't have come out. If it had been 12-10 pro-Chipman, it's going to go exactly the same way as it's going right now, which is to the full Senate for confirmation. So now is the time that you need to call your senators. And this is not call your congressman. The Congress doesn't have anything to do with this. This is Senate only. And so each state has 2 senators. Each senator has several offices. You can maximize your interest in this whole thing by doing a couple things. One is you can email to the senator's office. You can also call the U.S. Capitol switchboard during business hours and ask for your state senator. And you'll get one, and then you have to call back to get the other. And you can call that at 202-224-3121. And that is 202-224-3121. And call the Capitol switchboard and ask for your state senators. Once you do that, you can also look them up using the Google, and you can find your senator, and they'll have multiple offices. Call the offices. Because what happens is, if you send an email, you're a check mark in the box that says Stop David Chipman. If you call, you're a check mark in the box that says Stop David Chipman. So now you've earned 2 check marks. Now, if you call any of the offices that they have located in your state, you can also get another check mark or 2 or 3, depending on how many offices they've got. So they typically say that one call is worth about 100 votes to a senator, to a congressman.
And then take all those numbers and give them to your friends so that they can call.
And so when you do that, you're speaking for 500 instead of 100. But you need to voice your concern and get that information out there because your senators need to know it. They need to know where you stand and what you believe. So the interesting thing is that both the Congress and the Senate have had a group of our representatives who have written letters to the ATF about the arm brace guns. At first, it was 142 congressmen, and then this past week, then a plethora of senators also sent a letter. So they are getting involved in this ATF thing to the point where they're putting their names on paper. They're putting pen and ink to paper, and so they're listening. And you need to speak so that they can speak for you. That's the deal. And for those of you who don't know why we're so opposed to David Chipman actually worked for the ATF for 25 years. He was on the scene at Waco. There's a picture of him that his coworkers say is him, he says is not him. Interesting. That's interesting that everybody who works with him says, sure, that was David Chipman standing there doing that. He also then left the ATF and has worked for Everytown for Gun Safety, the Giffords Organization, and ShotSpotter, which are all anti-gun organizations. So for the last 10 years, he has been gainfully employed by anti-gun organizations, and now he wants to be the voice of the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms. He wants to be the leadership of the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms. What do we not want? We do not want an anti-gun person to be in a leadership role. He has testified at the assault weapons ban hearing saying that he believes that AR-15s are assault weapons and should be banned from normal U.S. citizens' applications.
Okay, you ask yourself, who is this Realize Firearms Awareness Coalition, and what do they do? Realize Firearms Awareness Coalition is a not-for-profit group based in Portage County, registered as a 501c3, and organized to educate about the historical intent of the Second Amendment to the Constitution of the United States of America, to share knowledge, to enable citizens to accurately relate and defend aspects of the U.S. Constitution, to enhance public awareness and support for responsible gun ownership, and to emphasize firearms education for women who facilitate the transmittal of constitutional awareness and gun ownership to succeeding generations. How do they intend to do that? By talking to you all and having you talk back, by hosting educational summits and events. So tune in, listen, and participate. RealizeFAC.com.
Your front door, your car, your gun. Safety is a habit. Gun safety and responsible storage are no different, and the best way to help prevent accidents, misuse, and theft. Cable locks help keep firearms secured. Learn how to get a free firearm safety kit. Visit projectchildsafe.org. If you have a firearm, own it, respect it, and secure it. Brought to you by the National Shooting Sports Foundation and the Bureau of Justice Assistance.
Shotgun with Charlie.
I'm Charlie Cook from Riding Shotgun with Charlie. Conversations in the car about gun safety, freedoms, and even a few laughs. Imagine you're in the back seat listening to an intimate chat with me and my passengers as we drive all around the country. Listen, watch, and subscribe to the Riding Shotgun with Charlie YouTube channel and podcast.
Grab your friends and head to Georgia to train with the Complete Combatant. The Complete Combatant offers a unique approach to self-defense training, layering the first signs of danger, lethal versus non-lethal decisions, and even surviving the aftermath. They offer premier firearms training with a range master certified instructor and host the top minds in our industry. See the courses offered on thecompletecombatant.com. That's thecompletecombatant.com.
Had a dirty day? Grunt Goat Tactical Soaps, made from fresh goat's milk and organic oils that detoxify, clean, and restore moisture to skin, will get you ready for your next adventure. These unique soaps are handcrafted in the Blue Ridge Mountains and shipped to anywhere in the U.S. Visit SillyBillyGoatFarm.com for their full line of Grunt Goat Tactical Soaps. That's SillyBillyGoatFarm.com.
Ladies, ever wish you could find a brand that understood the difference between feminine and functional? A brand that didn't make you choose between looking good and looking tough? Check out offhandgear.com, a brand designed by a gun girl / mom that closed the gap to give you feminine, durable, functional gear. Offhandgear.com, the brand that gets you.
We all know rust is bad. To help keep rust from forming on your firearms, tools, and other ferrous-based items, you want to have Rust is Bad in your gun-safe toolbox and anywhere you want to be rust-free. Rust is Bad bolsters and G-strings deposit small, safe particles that coat your rust-vulnerable items. Save your valuable items with Rust is Bad. Go to www.eyeonthetargetradio.com and follow the link for more information. That's www.eyeonthetargetradio.com for Rust is Bad.
Okay, so we are back. We're going to talk about cannons.
Well, I was watching one of my friends on Facebook got into a little discussion about cannons, and if you're making a muzzleloading cannon, it's totally legal. You've been allowed to have those since the time began without issue. Breech loading cannons, on the other hand, the one takes real bullets.
Okay.
Those are regulated as destructive devices.
Okay, so if you tell it to open wide and you shove it in that way and then light the fuse from the back,
right,
you're good.
You're good. But if you have the one where you just got a great big bullet and you open the back door, stick it in, and then close the back door.
Because see, is that really a cannon?
Like on the cartoons.
Is that really a cannon, or is that like just a giant gun?
Well, originally everything over 50 caliber they call it is a cannon.
Okay, got it.
So anything 50 caliber and below is fine. 51 and above is a destructive device.
Okay.
And so, like in the 60s, you could buy the 20 millimeter Lottie cannons. If you've ever watched Thunderbolt and Lightfoot, they used one of them to open a safe in a movie.
Okay.
And it's
I'm more likely to watch Wile E. Coyote and Acme doesn't build those kind of cannons.
So anyhow, but the English had big ones. They called them 55 boys. They were 55 caliber.
Okay.
There was the Germans made a great big bolt action Mauser rifle, and they called it I think it was a 1913 T. They called it, but it was just a oversized. So if this rifle works good, let's just make it bigger and we'll make it.
Okay. See, that's my point. It's just a big gun.
The Russians had these PTRS anti-tank rifles that are 14 millimeter and stuff. So a lot of that stuff after the 68 Gun Control Act, because you had to pay per round for bullets, you had to pay to keep the gun and stuff. So a lot of people just deactivated them. So they either turned them in somewhere or they cut them in part or something.
Okay.
So when you used to see them all the time, you don't see them too much anymore. Or if you do, you just see a pile of parts where they took the barrel off and gave it to the police department or something. And
got it. And there's a lot of that where they were like, I don't want to get in trouble, so what do I have to do to deactivate this or to do something?
But yeah, I mean, really, if you got a muzzleloading cannon, they're every bit as destructive as the others. It's just for some reason they decided to draw this line at 1898 and
in the imaginary cannon sand, right?
And they figure, well, you're not going to shoot anything bigger than 50 caliber, so there you go. So somehow that's kind of gets you in a gray area. You've seen these shotguns that have a rifle barrel now.
Right.
So if you take a 70 caliber 12 gauge shotgun and you rifle the barrel, it no longer is a shotgun by definition because the barrel's not smooth, right?
Okay. So
turned it into a destructive device by all.
But the ATF has not said boo, right. Because would be.
I don't know if it's that they don't know, they didn't think about it, they don't care. It wasn't my job, man.
Okay, or all of the above. It's not Tuesday, and Tuesday is the day I think. So
but if you want to see one of these big, giant rifles, they made them for anti-tank use, and they use them for other destructive stuff, so shoot airplanes and
I was going to say, so they
trucks and stuff like this.
Okay, so and how is this different than like a punt gun or something like that?
Well, the punt guns were built for giant shotguns at the time, so they mount them on boats. Basically, this just shoots a solid bullet, but it's but like I said, if you were shooting it, you want to take the truck out of action. If you shot it with your 37 millimeters Bofors, it put an 1.5 inch hole through the thing, so
it probably would notice.
Yeah, so tended to leak and make noise at that point.
Just Just a little. Okay, so the cannons are rifled.
Right, they're rifled and everything. They got some
You
pretty
know,
good.
I don't know that. I don't know that I really even knew that.
Our friend Danny has that 155, I believe. His is the bore diameter is exactly the size of a DeSantis water bottle.
Okay.
So they just fill it with sand and shoot those in the desert.
And just shoot the water bottles. Okay.
So
the things that you and Danny talk about.
When you're going to the desert, you have to take a certain brand of water with you so that you got plenty of ammo.
They're flexible. I wonder if they have a problem with plastic buildup in the barrel.
I wouldn't think any more than you do in a normal shotgun.
No.
So
yeah, because okay, that makes sense.
And you think about it, how much is that sand-filled bottle weigh? That's a couple pounds, easy enough.
I wouldn't want to be hit with one, so, even if you were throwing it, let alone shooting it at me.
Think about it, if you were shooting an old truck or something out there with a plastic bottle full of sand, you'd probably do some pretty good damage to the thing just with the.
Yeah. Right.
That's like water balloons. Only I mean it.
I mean it. I wonder how it would shoot if you just left the water in it.
I don't know, but that's the thing is a friend of mine. He had some Napoleonic cannons, and they were like they call them 6-pounders or 12-pounders, and stuff like that, depending on what size ball they would use. And I know that one time he was trying to get a load worked up to shoot a blank so he could do it at a football stadium for a show, and just the concussion off of the cannon was so much that it flattened all the flowers and knocked the eave spots off the house.
So he was aiming it at the house?
No, he was aiming it the opposite direction and shooting a wad of newspaper, an old ball of newspaper, but just the boom, the concussion was enough that it
knock the eave spots off
all
the
the flowers down in the flower bed, and the eave spots fell off the side of the house from the. So did the house move over and the eave spots didn't, and they just fell off from there, or how?
I don't. How are you going to explain this to mommy? Right? There's that. Quick, clean this up before your mother gets home. That has a lot of meaning. I think we've heard it more than once, and this would probably be one of those circumstances. Just saying, she's not going to be happy.
Right. I mean, and it's kind of funny by today's standards. It used to be when we were kids, you could go to the hardware store and buy dynamite if you had a use for it. Say you want to blow a tree stump out or make a lake or whatever.
They frown on that now.
And you could just sign for it, and away you go. And I believe you can still get it. It's just not quite as easy as just going to the hardware store and telling them you need some.
Say I have a tree that's pesky. I have a pesky tree that I need to blow to smithereens. Right. And so, yeah. Well, it's not like you could mail it in back to Wile E. Coyote and the Acme
Company. The point of this whole thing was there really was a good old days.
Because you could get dynamite at the hardware store if you had a good enough excuse. Yeah, and 1968 Gun Control Act stopped them from mailing guns to you. They just stopped all kinds of fun. A lot of fun. Hey, when we come back, we're going to talk to Dave Rosenthal.
Grab your friends and head to Georgia to train with the Complete Combatant. The Complete Combatant offers a unique approach to self-defense training, layering the first signs of danger, lethal versus non-lethal decisions, and even surviving the aftermath. They offer premier firearms training with a range master certified instructor and host the top minds in our industry. See the courses offered on thecompletecombatant.com. That's thecompletecombatant.com.
Had a dirty day? Grunt Goat Tactical Soaps, made from fresh goat's milk and organic oils that detoxify, clean, and restore moisture to skin, will get you ready for your next adventure. These unique soaps are handcrafted in the Blue Ridge Mountains and shipped to anywhere in the U.S. Visit SillyBillyGoatFarm.com for their full line of Grunt Goat Tactical Soaps. That's SillyBillyGoatFarm.com. Okay, you ask yourself, who is this Realize Firearms Awareness Coalition, and what do they do? Realize Firearms Awareness Coalition is a not-for-profit group based in Portage County, registered as a 501c3, and organized to educate about the historical intent of the Second Amendment to the Constitution of the United States of America. to share knowledge, to enable citizens to accurately relate and defend aspects of the U.S. Constitution, to enhance public awareness and support for responsible gun ownership, and to emphasize firearms education for women who facilitate the transmittal of constitutional awareness and gun ownership to succeeding generations. How do they intend to do that? By talking to you all and having you talk back, by hosting educational summits and events. So tune in, listen, and participate. RealizeFAC.com.
This is Cheryl Todd of Gun Freedom Radio, and I am proud to join Amanda Seppacool and all the 50 women, one from each state, in our grassroots efforts to protect the Second Amendment as delegates of the DC Project. Grassroots organizations like the DC Project run on donations, so please consider donating to our GoFundMe/DC Project to keep the promise of freedom alive.
Shotgun with Charlie.
I'm Charlie Cook from Riding Shotgun with Charlie. Conversations in the car about gun safety, freedoms, and even a few laughs. Imagine you're in the back seat listening to an intimate chat with me and my passengers as we drive all around the country. Listen, watch, and subscribe to the Riding Shotgun with Charlie YouTube channel and podcast.
Ladies, ever wish you could find a brand that understood the difference between feminine and functional? A brand that didn't make you choose between looking good and looking tough. Check out offhandgear.com, a brand designed by a gun girl / mom that closed the gap to give you feminine, durable, functional gear. Offhandgear.com, the brand that gets you.
Hi, this is Paul Lathrop from the Polite Society podcast. I wanted to let you know that the show you're listening to is a proud member of the Self-Defense Radio Network. You can check out all the shows on the network by going to selfdefenseradio.net or tune in for more on Self-Defense Mondays on Karma Radio, KRMAradio.com.
This is Dan Perkins with your Songs and Stories for Soldiers, Veterans Tip of the Day. If you're a veteran with a disability, are you interested in a program that could give you a free home? Homes for Our Troops is a privately funded 501c3 nonprofit organization that builds and donates specially adapted custom homes nationwide for severely injured post-9/11 veterans to enable them to rebuild their lives. These homes restore some of the freedom and independence our veterans sacrificed while defending our country and enable them to focus on their family and recovery. Since its inception in 2004, nearly 90 cents of every dollar has gone directly to the program to serve veterans. HFOT builds these homes where the veterans choose to live and continues its relationship with the veterans after the home delivery to assist them in rebuilding their lives. For more information, go to their website, www.hfotusa.org, and see if you can qualify for the home of your dreams. This has been your Songs and Stories for Soldiers, Veterans Tip of the Day.
We are back, and with us this segment is our friend Dave Rosenthal, or Rosie to those who know him at the CNJFO, and he is here with us to talk about Black Wire Media. So hey Dave, thanks for joining us on Eye on the Target Radio.
Well, thanks for having me, Amanda. Is Rob Dube there as well?
Yes, I am.
Yep.
Excellent,
so,
sir.
Both of us. So, why don't you tell folks a little bit about Black Wire Media, and where can they find it? How can they subscribe? How can they get to it?
Well, first of all, Black Wire Media is the media arm of the Coalition of New Jersey Firearm Owners. It's currently being published both on our website at cnjfo.com under the Blackwire blog, and also on our Facebook page at facebook.com/CNJFO.
Okay.
Blackwire Media, the name itself, was given to me by fellow trustee Jack Pyle and Dan Gerdovich, our current president. Because I tend to do things a little bit, should we say, old-fashioned, and actually work from a PC instead of doing everything on my phone, et cetera, et cetera. And as a former news photographer back in the 70s and 80s, I used to type captions for the pictures that I would submit that would, be put on the daily newspaper. So I came up with this simply because I didn't want my name to be used for every story that I wrote because, quite frankly, I'm not the story. The story has to run on its own. So at first it started out as a joke, but then it got to the point where everybody kind of expected it, so we just kept it up. We have several people that write for us, among them several NRA Life members and Benefactor Life, some of whom aren't even on Facebook.
So they write and then they send it to you and you put it out there, or how do they get it out?
Yes, that's exactly right. I'm the editor-in-chief, and I take a look and see what everything is, and then I'll put a headline on it. I'll search over several thousand images that I have from taking pictures from all over the state of New Jersey, and we'll match a photo to the story if I don't have art that's supplied to me by the writer.
Okay.
And then I'll edit the story and then send it out, and sometimes it gets picked up and it goes viral.
So what was the last thing that got picked up and went viral? What was the last story? Do you remember?
Yep, from 7 weeks ago, Anthony Calandro, NRA board member, read an entire article from Blackwire Media on air. It was about the New Jersey instant check system that took 1 to 2 business weeks, and now after the Association of New Jersey Rifle and Pistol Clubs, the State NRA Association, and 4 other groups, including CNJFO, sued the state of New Jersey in a lawsuit. All of a sudden, 7 business days and 5,000 gun owners waiting turned into 243 checks, and you could go back and get your gun at the gun store within 1 day instead of waiting up to 2 business weeks.
Well, look at that. So when you call names and hold people up and hold them accountability, they start to do their job. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I mean, like a bolt of lightning out of the sky and faster than a speeding bullet comes a big story on the SED attempt to nullify the lawsuit charging negligence, disrespect for the law, and deliberate stalling of the New Jersey State Police instant background check system by our anti-2A government. Okay?
Right. Defining instant in their case is a couple weeks. I don't think Webster defined instant that way.
No, but the New Jersey State Police Firearms Bureau considers a 2-week wait to be an instant check.
Got it. So, has anybody outside the gun world picked up one of your stories and ran with it?
Probably. Although we don't have 100% knowledge of that, I did write something a while back on a picture of an AR-15 winding up on Snapchat or some other social media, and 2 high school seniors were suspended in Lacey Township, New Jersey. We broke the story. The state NRA got involved with it, and it went all the way to the First Family with 2.3 million reached, and Eric Trump had something to say about it.
Nice. So that's pretty cool. So do you travel around as official media? Do you make use of your media credentials, if you will, to be the reporter on the scene?
I haven't seen his press card in his hat.
No, I don't have a press card in my hat. And funny you should mention that, because there's other people here in New Jersey that actually got shut out of attending the governor's press events because allegedly they didn't have a specific type of card issued by the New Jersey State Police. Okay, as working media. Okay, since I don't have one of those unicorns, I decided, not to get involved with that particular aspect of on-the-scene reporting and, challenging police authorities, directly with that kind of a thing. But what I've been able to do is go from place to place and story to story and club to club, and I pick up different things because with 50 years experience behind the trigger and a whole bunch of different disciplines that I've shot in my lifetime, I've made a lot of friends, and I get invited to go to a lot of different places. And then people find out that there's stories to be had. They think of something, and then I'll get a phone call or an invitation, and then, the rest is history.
Then the rest is history. Well, I know that you and I chatted about our experience at this Ohio-based Faster Saves Lives, so that you can start to break it into the New Jersey Second Amendment world, so they can start to think about it and what do they have to do and how do they have to do it to be able to get New Jersey to start to think about defending their children and not just leaving them.
Exactly. As a matter of fact, I interviewed you for that story, and I'm still working on the contacts that you gave me. A couple of things came up over the weekend. I didn't get a chance to get a hold of the people that run the show over there, but I've already started to formulate how I want to approach writing it.
Well, I'm telling you, that was an amazing experience. And then to be able to start to share it with people is part of one of the reasons why they did actually embed reporters into the class, was so that we can share it across the country and across the nation, just saying this is what we did and how we did it, because it was an amazing experience, and I want others to hear about it.
Well, I'm going to be proudly working on that over the next couple of days. I did interview Charlie Cook from Riding Shotgun with Charlie. He was on his way home from the event to Massachusetts.
Right. I mean, we had people from kind of all over the place that had joined. There was Kentucky, Texas, Ohio, Massachusetts, Arizona. All had come to take the class, to take it and take it back home.
It from what I can see, and I did some homework already. I've extensively toured their both their Facebook and their website, and from what I can see, this is professionally put together. This is a class act. They have all the T's crossed and the I's dotted, and they're ready to bring it into whatever school system that wants to invite them in. And they have all the answers pre-answered.
They really do. And they the interesting thing is that Colorado picked up from them, and I think was the first state to implement it in the same manner that they've got it. So they have Colorado Faster, and so they're doing it there. And if you know Laura Carno, she's like very instrumental in having it happen in Colorado. So hey, Dave, can you hang with us, and so we can talk about CNJFO when we come back from the commercial break?
Sure, be glad to.
Okay, so folks, we are talking to Dave Rosenthal from Blackwire Media, which is the media arm of CNJFO.
Honest citizens like you protect themselves every day. We talk about it every week on the Self-Defense Gun Stories podcast. Were these gun owners lucky, or did they have a plan? How should we defend the people we love? We discuss recent examples on the Self-Defense Gun Stories podcast. Put us in your pocket.
Hi, I'm Janelle Westrom, owner of Davenport Guns and Davenport Shooting Club. At Davenport Guns, we do so much more than sell firearms. We advocate for increased personal safety and security, not just for you, but your whole family and community. Go to davenportguns.com to see our online inventory and browse videos, articles, and things we just find entertaining. Sign up for our newsletter to learn more.
This is Cheryl Todd of Gun Freedom Radio, and I am proud to join Amanda Seppacool and all the 50 women, one from each state, in our grassroots efforts to protect the Second Amendment as delegates of the DC Project. Grassroots organizations like the DC Project run on donations, so please consider donating to our GoFundMe/DC Project to keep the promise of freedom alive.
Ladies, ever wish you could find a brand that understood the difference between feminine and functional? A brand that didn't make you choose between looking good and looking tough. Check out offhandgear.com, a brand designed by a gun girl/mom that closed the gap to give you feminine, durable, functional gear. Offhandgear.com, the brand that gets you.
Okay, you ask yourself, who is this Realize Firearms Awareness Coalition, and what do they do? Realize Firearms Awareness Coalition is a not-for-profit group based in Portage County, registered as a 501c3, and organized to educate about the historical intent of the Second Amendment to the Constitution of the United States of America, to share knowledge, to enable citizens to accurately relate and defend aspects of the U.S. Constitution, to enhance public awareness and support for responsible gun ownership, and to emphasize firearms education for women who facilitate the transmittal of constitutional awareness and gun ownership to succeeding generations. How do they intend to do that? By talking to you all and having you talk back, by hosting educational summits and events. So tune in, listen, and participate. RealizeFAC.com.
Shotgun with Charlie.
I'm Charlie Cook from Riding Shotgun with Charlie. Conversations in the car about gun safety, freedoms, and even a few laughs. Imagine you're in the back seat listening to an intimate chat with me and my passengers as we drive all around the country. Listen, watch, and subscribe to the Riding Shotgun with Charlie YouTube channel and podcast.
Had a dirty day? Grunt Goat Tactical Soaps, made from fresh goat's milk and organic oils that detoxify, clean, and restore moisture to skin, will get you ready for your next adventure. These unique soaps are handcrafted in the Blue Ridge Mountains and shipped to anywhere in the U.S. Visit SillyBillyGoatFarm.com for their full line of Grunt Goat Tactical Soaps. That's SillyBillyGoatFarm.com.
Okay, we are back with our guest Dave Rosenthal, and Dave Rosenthal is very active with the Coalition of New Jersey Firearms Owners, or CNJFO, and their website is cnjfo.com. So check them out. They have become a sponsor of Eye on the Target Radio. And we've had them on before prior to the sponsorship, and we're very pleased to be coordinating with them on things because, man, they are in the trenches fighting the fight. There is no doubt about it. So, hey, Dave, thanks for sticking over the commercial break.
My pleasure, Amanda.
So why don't you tell folks a little bit about the structure of CNJFO?
Why, certainly, and thank you. The Coalition of New Jersey Firearm Owners is a 501c3 charitable and educational nonprofit based in the state of New Jersey. And what that means is anybody from anywhere in the country can donate to us, and it can come off their federal income tax. Now, the coalition itself was formed about 6 years ago by 5 trustees, and we decided that there was nothing else in the state at that time that served the purpose. What we tried to do was take the atmosphere of a social event and turn it into grassroots, to make people come out and enjoy themselves and donate to help fight, really bad unconstitutional gun law. Because what happens in Jersey doesn't stay in Jersey.
No, it doesn't.
Right. No. I mean, look what's happening now federally. It's like as if somebody took a magnifying glass to New Jersey gun law and they want to bring it over into the federal area. It's crazy. Anyway, the coalition was formed.
Thank you cards to.
Sorry, go ahead. Wait, what was your comment, Rob?
I said, who do we send the thank you cards to?
That they're still fighting the fight, so it's not to us?
They're using New Jersey's model to put it on all of us.
Oh, yeah, I don't know. I don't know who picked up the New Jersey model and took it to the federal level, but that wouldn't be a thank you card that I would actually sign my real name to, because there'd be other words in it. I'm just saying.
Oh, yeah. Oh, believe me, okay? We've had to undergo, quite a number of, folks having an idea or two that, think it might be something that we said or why are we instigating or whatever. But we're basically reactionary.
Right.
We're not, we're not trying to, create problems. We're just shining the ugly truth light on them.
Right. So there you go. The ugly truth light. So
don't shine it on me.
I don't want to. Yeah. So,
don't worry,
but that's
Rob,
dude,
that light's not shining on you.
But that's a good thing to do, is to say this is the honest and ugly truth, and people need to see it. People need to know what it means, and people need to know how it impacts them. And you guys are fighting the fight in New Jersey to keep it from going across the country. And
there's a lot of people across the country that have no idea that this is even going on anywhere. So getting it out there and they get to see it, they realize that somebody's under this thumb of oppression.
Right.
That they're not experiencing at this moment.
And so as they say, there's some people who still live in free America, and then there's those of you who live on the fringe that are fighting the fight to hold back the tides.
Well, I appreciate that. And a little anecdote on Free America. I shipped my son out to Iowa for his very first job a number of years ago. On a Monday at lunch hour, he went to the local sheriff's office and applied for a handgun purchase permit. He walked up to the deputy and he said, about how long is this going to take? Because in Jersey, it took 6 months for an Eagle Scout to get a permit for a long gun. So the deputy said to him, well, son, if you're in a hurry, you can come back tomorrow. But we can mail it to you and you'll have it Thursday when you get out of work.
And he's thinking, okay, Thursday is like the speed round.
Right.
Wow. So did he come back to New Jersey or did he stay in Free America?
He stayed in Free America. We moved him 1,000 miles east several years back. I drove a U-Haul straight job and towed his Mercury Grand Marquis on a U-Haul trailer.
Okay. That's what dads are for.
He made it as far as Reading, Pennsylvania, and I told him to stay there. Don't ever come back.
Let me come visit you as opposed to the other way around. Yes.
Well, he visits here quite often, but we really enjoyed the visit. Last weekend, he brought himself, his wife, his father-in-law, his brother-in-law, and we all went to the local range here in Jersey. And I showed him which way to put the bullets in the gun. Of course, he's already an expert at black powder, etc. And he's been shooting for, I don't know now, almost 28 years, because I broke him in when he was 4 years old, and he's almost 32 now.
There you go. Of course.
Yeah.
Of course. So, so what does CNJFO have as their next fundraiser? I mean, because you guys have to, in order to be doing the things that you are doing, which is sending court cases to the Supreme Court. I mean, you guys are just actively involved in cases that are headed that way. So what do you do for fundraisers to be able to get the funds to pay for the court cases, to pay for the lawyers, to pay to draw that line and fight that fight? And John Petrolino said, good evening to you there, Mr. Dave Rosenthal.
Okay, John, I'm not currently looking at the computer screen trying to answer the questions, as good as I can here. But what we do, we run a bunch of different shooting events. We had Charlie Cook from Riding Shotgun with Charlie last March. We did a special Hunting Pheasants with Charlie. That was a fundraiser. Previous to that, a month before that, was our regular pheasant hunt. We're currently looking at dates to run another sporting clays.
Nice.
All right. Last year we had over 50 people show up to shoot sporting clays with us, and some of that went into the funds to help with all the lawsuits. In addition to that, I also run hog hunts 2 to 3 times a year on a 150-acre island in Pennsylvania.
Okay.
Where people get between a 250 and a 300-pound animal, and they get to hunt it. It's an any weapon hunt, no license needed, and we run it 2 to 3 times a year. So we have bowmen, we have handgun hunters, and of course we have rifles and shotgunners.
Well, that's pretty cool. So here's a question: how many hunters go on the hog hunt, and how many of them actually bring home the bacon, if you will?
Well, it's not a high fence hunt, and hogs can swim. But that being said, the expert guide service points us in the right direction, and we've only ever lost one, and then they were able to find it again, and everybody has come home. All of our hunters have come home with a harvest.
Really? That is amazing. That is amazing. So, Rob, that may have to go on our bucket list of things to do.
It shows him cooking sausages and bacon and all kinds of stuff.
I just think that sounds like so much fun. So when you get a hog hunt scheduled and it's not sold out, call us back. Let us know. Let's see what we can do to get that booked for you, because that just sounds like an amazing event. So, folks, if you want to check out what's happening in New Jersey, cnjfo.com. There you can find the blog for Black Wire Media. You can find pictures of Rosie. You can find all kinds of stuff. So thanks so much, Dave.
Okay, you ask yourself, who is this Realize Firearms Awareness Coalition, and what do they do? Realize Firearms Awareness Coalition is a not-for-profit group based in Portage County, registered as a 501c3, and organized to educate about the historical intent of the Second Amendment to the Constitution of the United States of America, to share knowledge, to enable citizens to accurately relate and defend aspects of the U.S. Constitution, to enhance public awareness and support for responsible gun ownership, and to emphasize firearms education for women who facilitate the transmittal of constitutional awareness and gun ownership to succeeding generations. How do they intend to do that? By talking to you all and having you talk back, by hosting educational summits and events. So tune in, listen, and participate. RealizeFAC.com.
Your Second Amendment rights are under attack like no other time in history, and the Second Amendment Foundation needs you to take action now. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris have pledged to make taking away your Second Amendment rights a top priority through gun bans, gun confiscation, government regulations, and even a gun tax. They have aligned themselves with anti-gun activists like billionaire Michael Bloomberg and appoint radicals like Beto O'Rourke as the anti-gun czar. The fight begins now with your text of Protect 2A to 474747. Text Protect 2A to 474747 to pledge your support and become a Second Amendment first responder. Your right to own a gun and protect your family are on the line. Text Protect 2A to 474747 and join the fight to protect your Second Amendment rights. Text Protect 2A to 474747 to pledge your support and become a Second Amendment first responder.
Yeah.
Shooter standby.
You hit the radio bullseye. And the home for everything Second Amendment, concealed carry, the latest gear, reciprocity, legislation, the right to self-protection, and it shall not be infringed. This is Eye on the Target Radio with your hosts, Rob and Amanda.
Okay, want to fill you in on a couple things. The first one is Winchester is having a product warning and recall on their 9mm ammo.
Oh, sure. You couldn't get bullets. Now you have to overpay for them, and now they don't work.
Well, they may be overwork. I'm not sure. You know, they may be.
The way it looks is that they have some kind of fireproof powder in them, and so it causes the first bullet to go in and clog the barrel, and the second bullet explode your pistol.
Okay, so that would be, so you would notice it would be that kind of wouldn't go as opposed to the one where it just blows the magazine out the bottom, because that's exciting as all get out.
Second shot's where you blow the magazine out the bottom.
There's that. So there is a list. You go to Winchester, go to their website and look, or just use the Google for Winchester recall notice on 9mm. It's the 115 grain. And if you bought it before March 25th of 2021, don't worry about it. But if you bought it after March 25th,
then it could be suspect.
It could be suspect. And so that has, so it may contain propellant that does not properly ignite and burn when the cartridge is fired. Ammunition containing propellant that does not properly ignite and burn may result in a bullet remaining in the barrel, and then the second one going to join it in the barrel, which is where things get all exciting.
Bulges in the barrel and split out things, and
so it's full metal jacket and jacketed hollow points are the bullets. So that's kind of where that is. Just to kind of get you going on recalls. Now, if you are going to the NRA annual meetings, which if you're going, wow, yeah, we don't like exploding pistols. I'm telling you, when you're holding one, it gets all exciting, George Geller. Extremely exciting when a pistol explodes in
There's supposed to be an explosion in it, but not around it. Or
yes,
with it.
Exactly. So we have So I have blown the magazine out of the bottom of my pistol a couple times. I have seen you where half of the pistol ended up behind you.
Yeah, I was shooting some Egyptian surplus ammo one day, and my pistol never was the same afterwards.
Well, there was that. Then there was the one that the pistol had a flaw, and it just became 3 pistols in the blink of an eye. It's something you want to avoid, pretty much avoid. But if you were going to the NRA annual meeting, it's in Houston this year. So every year...
And in the fall, because normally they're in the spring. So this is
that's where I was going. Every year it moves around. It's scheduled like 7 years in advance. You know where it's going to be. You know where it's coming to. And it's generally in April or May. And so you can look for the schedule of where and what it is.
But now with Corona, all things are in the air.
With the COVID, they rescheduled it because it was supposed to be set for April, and they were not sure that April of 2021 that Houston was going to open their convention centers and allow it to take place.
Well, the Houston mayor is real gun friendly, so it may not be allowed to take place anyhow.
No, they have pretty much unlocked the world, so there is that. But if you were going to the NRA annual meetings and you want to catch up with Rob and I, we're going to be there. And so now we're going to be there on a whole nother level, because on Saturday evening, you've seen how we produce the radio show. It'll be the same thing. We're producing a fashion show. So Rob's like, what do you want me to do next?
And so just tell me, stand over there and hold on to that, or give those to everybody when they come by.
Coordinate everybody. Give them a number. Tell them what they're doing. Show them what. You lead the way. Whatever that is. But no, we're going to Eye on the Target Radio and Realize Firearms Awareness Coalition is going to be the producers of the Concealed Carry Fashion Show at the NRA annual meeting. So if you own a holster company, if you own a purse company, if you own a concealed carry product line and are potentially interested in displaying it at the fashion show, reach out to us. If you are a concealed carry holder and want an entertaining and good time, a fashion show really is. It's crazy because you're looking for the gun that you know is there and you can't find it. And that is what makes the best about a concealed carry fashion
luckily,
show.
they show you about halfway through their thing, they show you where
it is. And then you're like looking at it again. You're giving them the side eye, like, I'm looking for this because it is there to be seen. It's crazy. It's crazy how little you can actually see a firearm when, as a gun owner, as someone who's carrying a gun, you feel like it just is screaming, I've got a gun. And everybody else is like, what? Where? Huh? Is there a gun? Correct?
Right. I mean, a lot of times they're not paying that much attention. I mean, think about it. Everybody has like Batman's belt on anymore, so your batarang and your walkie-talkie and your
Well, you don't pay attention to other people's clothing.
Maybe if you had like a golden lariat, like Wonder Woman, they might call attention to you, but otherwise.
But you're looking at people. The only time you look at people's clothing is if they have a clothing malfunction that you're like, oh, that's unfortunate for them. Because
I think I see a butt.
Exactly. See, my answer is that's unfortunate for them. You, on the other hand, are like, oop, I see a butt. There. You know, it's a shame that today he wore his tighty whities with his blue jeans because it's showing up. Just saying. But anyhow, that's the concealed carry fashion show. You'll hear more about it because this just happened last week. I am as excited.
I'm all jazzed up.
I'm pretty jazzed up because this is an opportunity. I mean, we've been doing concealed carry fashion shows since 2014. And
I think now you have to pack your 20 mule train to haul all that stuff to Texas.
I got a plan. I got friends. I got people. I got people in Texas. I got a plan. Just saying. If I have to have a plan, I have it. I have a plan. But if you're going to the NRA annual meetings, keep Saturday evening free and join us and see what's going on. We actually have tagged Charlie Cook to join us too, so that he can co-host the speaking portion of it because Rob hates that part. So
Charlie does a really good job too.
There you go. So it's a combo.
I'm better in the back herding the cattle and poking them to get them up the steps.
To get them all there and tucking and coordinating and you next go. Yeah, that kind of thing. But everybody's got their role and it all works. And it's really funny because even when the wheels fall off, everybody from the outside doesn't.
That's when you remember when everything's going smooth. Nobody remembers like a
I don't
vacation.
know.
But when
the year that
when
the
wheels
models
fall off and all of a sudden you have to walk back to your hotel, you remember that vacation for years.
You remember that one. The fashion show where the 3 male models got drunk and tried to one-up each other, and the third one was practically down. Well, he was down to his shorts. The rest of his clothing was all gone by the end of the runway. But his gun was still concealed. That was the amazing part. He truly demonstrated. We got to beach wear by the time we were done with it. But oh well. It was a good time to be had by all. But this is the NRA annual meeting in Houston, and
in September.
Yeah, September 4th. Saturday, September 4th is going to be when the fashion show is. So we're heading out there on a Thursday, and we'll see what happens. So what you got? What else do you have there? Let's talk. Do we want to talk about Maine?
Well, it's kind of funny. There's 40 states allow you to hunt with a suppressor. Maine used to make you get a permit to hunt with a suppressor, and now they've decided not to. So with the suppressor trying to become more mainstream,
right?
With the the Hearing Protection Acts and all this stuff that they're doing, and so Maine now is starting to drop their guard a little bit, and
so they're saying that you still have to have, if you've got a suppressor, it has to have a tax stamp to be able to go out in public, but you don't have to have a special hunting permit to use the suppressor during your hunting extravaganza. Right.
So
right. I was looking for verification there because that's how I thought that story was.
Okay.
So So the cool part is that means that you're not scaring the neighbors, you're not scaring off other animals that you may be that may be the
and you can still hear people talk to you in the future.
So, but no, I think I mean, they say that in like Great Britain that if you use a suppressor, it's the polite way to go about hunting.
Right, the Europeans think that it's just polite to use a suppressor so you're not tearing up the neighborhood with the sound echoing around.
And here in the United States,
we look at it as your public enemy number one if you have one of those.
Right, and that doesn't make a lot of sense.
Potato into the gun, and we hate your guts.
Right. Well, not really a potato. Potato. How about a licensed tax stamped suppressor made that is commercially viable? How is that? That's way better than a potato. We'll be back right after this.
Honest citizens like you protect themselves every day. We talk about it every week on the Self-Defense Gun Stories podcast. Were these gun owners lucky, or did they have a plan? How should we defend the people we love? We discuss recent examples on the Self-Defense Gun Stories podcast. Put us in your pocket.
Hi, I'm Janelle Westrom, owner of Davenport Guns and Davenport Shooting Club. At Davenport Guns, we do so much more than sell firearms. We advocate for increased personal safety and security, not just for you, but your whole family and community. Go to DavenportGuns.com to see our online inventory and browse videos, articles, and things we just find entertaining. Sign up for our newsletter to learn more.
Your front door, your car, your gun. Safety is a habit. Gun safety and responsible storage are no different, and the best way to help prevent accidents, misuse, and theft. Cable locks help keep firearms secured. Learn how to get a free firearm safety kit. Visit projectchildsafe.org. If you have a firearm, own it, respect it, and secure it. Brought to you by the National Shooting Sports Foundation and the Bureau of Justice Assistance.
Hi, this is Paul Lathrop from the Polite Society podcast. I wanted to let you know that the show you're listening to is a proud member of the Self-Defense Radio Network. You can check out all the shows on the network by going to selfdefenseradio.net or tune in for more on Self-Defense Mondays on Karma Radio, krmaradio.com.
This is Cheryl Todd of Gun Freedom Radio, and I am proud to join Amanda Seppacool and all the 50 women, one from each state, in our grassroots efforts to protect the Second Amendment as delegates of the DC Project. Grassroots organizations like the DC Project run on donations, so please consider donating to our GoFundMe/DC Project to keep the promise of freedom alive.
Had a dirty day? Grunt Goat Tactical Soaps, made from fresh goat's milk and organic oils that detoxify, clean, and restore moisture to skin, will get you ready for your next adventure. These unique soaps are handcrafted in the Blue Ridge Mountains and shipped to anywhere in the U.S. Visit SillyBillyGoatFarm.com for their full line of Grunt Goat Tactical Soaps. That's SillyBillyGoatFarm.com.
Ladies, ever wish you could find a brand that understood the difference between feminine and functional? A brand that didn't make you choose between looking good and looking tough. Check out offhandgear.com, a brand designed by a gun girl/mom that closed the gap to give you feminine, durable, functional gear. Offhandgear.com, the brand that gets you.
We all know rust is bad. To help keep rust from forming on your firearms, tools, and other ferrous-based items, you want to have Rust is Bad in your gun-safe toolbox and anywhere you want to be rust-free. Rust is Bad bolsters and G-strings deposit small, safe particles that coat your rust-vulnerable items. Save your valuable items with Rust is Bad. Go to www.eyeonthetargetradio.com and follow the link for more information. That's www.eyeonthetargetradio.com for Rust is Bad.
Okay, we are back. So you're really having a hard time being part of the radio show when you don't have a mic on and headphones. So he's just standing there holding them like...
I got nothing to say anyhow.
You got plenty to say. That is it. You have plenty to say. Okay, so you've got a whole series of stories here. Let's start.
I know, but some of it is... I don't like the news, so I don't want to tell you.
I don't like the news. I'm not happy with the news. I don't like what they have to say. Now, see, I think that this is an NRA ILA post and story about a federal judge. So in Florida, there is this big to-do about 18 to 20-year-olds being able to have firearms and have self-defense firearms. You know,
well,
even
they just
concealed
passed
carry.
that law. Before it was if you could buy a long gun or shotgun if you were 18 and 21 for a handgun. Florida, with their knee-jerk reaction, passed the thing so that they had to be 21 for everything. The judge now saying his hands are kind of tied because the 11th Circuit Court, I believe it was,
correct,
found something previously, and now he's stuck with that.
He's stuck that they've passed this law. This is how it is. So if you are between 18 and 21, your parents can help you buy a firearm. But if you're on your own, if you're a single person...
If you're 20 years old, you're a single mom or something, you don't have any family that lives in town with you, you got no one that can buy you a gun and let you use it or have it. And you can't get your friends to do it because it's a straw purchase. You can't get an outsider to do it because it's a straw purchase.
So it could only be done by family members, and that's not happening. And so the federal judge says...
someone needs to sue in a different setup to where they're 20, no
family, right?
And
start there.
And it's got to go through the court in a completely different manner,
right?
You can see why everything takes 5-10 years.
And the judge pointed out, in his opinion, the flaw, but it was really interesting because the judge is on the Second Amendment side, but felt that they didn't have a choice but to rule the other way. And sometimes, as much as you hate the way that things are, they are the way that things are, and so you've got to address them that way.
Right,
So,
but like I say, it's one of them things. You see why what do they say? The wheels of justice grind slow and fine.
Yes,
so
exactly.
Now you have to find the exact right person to have the exact right case to get to the exact right spot in the law.
So why don't you talk about car arms?
What should I say? Let's buy a Tommy gun. It's cool.
We have been to the Tommy gun warehouse. They have ammo. We'll just say.
Right. If you're looking for a concealed carry pistol, the car pistols are great. They make a couple different sizes. The K-frame guns are steel frame guns, full size, and their full size is about 3/4 size of everybody else's full size. Then they make a PM, I believe, and they make some mid-grade ones. PMs are the polymer micros, and the CW and the C. They got a different C something. Anyhow, they're aimed at the concealed carry market. They are usually single stack, thinner body.
Right,
guns,
they really are kind of nice and thin
polymer.
guns.
There's no. You can get an external safety if you want it, but most of them don't come with one. So if you live, depending on which area you live, in some places demand an external safety. Otherwise, the safety's in the trigger. Everybody knows no matter how scared you are, the trigger lets the bullets out.
Well, that's why I was shooting. That was why I was shooting your SIG instead of my SIG in one of the classes, because they're like, if you have a safety, you have to use it. Darn it. Okay, I'm using your gun. It didn't have a safety.
I have got away from a gun with a mechanical safety years ago because just one more of them things you have to learn how to remember to use or whatever?
Well, I just didn't use it until I got in this class and they made me, and then it was like, okay, I got to swap.
I have a gun that has the old style gun from the 80s that has the decocker on it. Talk about trying to remember to decock every time, and then you have two trigger pulls at that point. Things are better today.
There's a lot more options. You can do a lot more stuff.
So yeah, if you're looking at guns, they not only do they have the car line, they have the Desert Eagle line, and they have the baby Desert Eagle, and they have the full size Desert Eagle.
And I've heard a rumor that our video producer wants a Desert Eagle. It does. Well, and he'll be back right here. He wants a Desert Eagle in 50 AE.
50 AE. And they got a new 429 caliber that's I believe it's a neck down 50 to shoot 44 bullets. Mm-hmm. And then you can also get it in 44 Magnum too. So just say you can just go buy bullets. It's no issue.
You have got options, lots of them.
The funny part is I shot the 50 and the 44. The 44 is very controllable. The 50, not so much. If you're going to shoot it a lot, besides you need a big bankroll because it's a couple dollars a piece for bullets.
Yep.
You'll start to develop a flinch from that 50 because
you'll get a Popeye eye. One of them where one just slams shut out of sympathy for the other one. That's where that is.
Popeye eye.
Well, yeah, that's how he looked, wasn't it?
I think Popeye is the whole thing.
Is that why his name was that?
Right, because when I popped out, I'd probably been punched in it over the years.
You know, I was today years old before I realized that was where Popeye's name came from. I am never going to be the same.
I'm never going to be.
I thought his mom named him that.
I am what I am.
Right.
You're funny.
I didn't. Today, yep, I am today old for that one.
Okay, so they just caught somebody that's got 47 guns. Well, she's bought 47 guns in a month, and they're already starting to turn up on crime scene investigations. So apparently her crime spree is over before it gets started.
Well, it's really interesting because the ATF say more people legally purchase weapons than sell them on the illegal market. So that's the crazy part is that if the ATF, I mean, once they catch somebody like this, that is breaking the law and they need to prosecute them, and they need to prosecute them to the nth degree of the law.
Well, that's fun. A lot of the laws are that they don't go after
somebody who does it wrong.
I've seen them where you'll call for a background check. The background check is a deny, and that's as far as it goes. They never come to look for the paperwork. They don't go to the guy's house. They don't ask
anything. And so there's thousands and thousands of people who are denied a purchase, who knew up front that they shouldn't have tried to purchase, who shouldn't have tried to slide through there, and yet nobody seems to care. So if the ATF is doing their job, they should be prosecuting those who are breaking the law, not persecuting those of us who are law-abiding. We'll be back right after these commercials.
Grab your friends and head to Georgia to train with the Complete Combatant. The Complete Combatant offers a unique approach to self-defense training, layering the first signs of danger, lethal versus non-lethal decisions, and even surviving the aftermath. They offer premier firearms training with a range master certified instructor and host the top minds in our industry. See the courses offered on thecompletecombatant.com. That's thecompletecombatant.com.
Had a dirty day? Grunt Goat Tactical Soaps, made from fresh goat's milk and organic oils that detoxify, clean, and restore moisture to skin, will get you ready for your next adventure. These unique soaps are handcrafted in the Blue Ridge Mountains and shipped to anywhere in the U.S. Visit SillyBillyGoatFarm.com for their full line of Grunt Goat Tactical Soaps. That's SillyBillyGoatFarm.com. Okay, you ask yourself, who is this Realize Firearms Awareness Coalition, and what do they do? Realize Firearms Awareness Coalition is a not-for-profit group based in Portage County, registered as a 501c3 and organized to educate about the historical intent of the Second Amendment to the Constitution of the United States of America, to share knowledge, to enable citizens to accurately relate and defend aspects of the U.S. Constitution, to enhance public awareness and support for responsible gun ownership, and to emphasize firearms education for women who facilitate the transmittal of constitutional awareness and gun ownership to succeeding generations. How do they intend to do that? By talking to you all and having you talk back, by hosting educational summits and events. So tune in, listen, and participate. RealizeFAC.com.
Ladies, ever wish you could find a brand that understood the difference between feminine and functional? A brand that didn't make you choose between looking good and looking tough. Check out offhandgear.com, a brand designed by a gun girl / mom that closed the gap to give you feminine, durable, functional gear. Offhandgear.com, the brand that gets you.
We all know rust is bad. To help keep rust from forming on your firearms, tools, and other ferrous-based items, you want to have Rust is Bad in your gun-safe toolbox and anywhere you want to be rust-free. Rust is Bad bolsters and G-strings deposit small, safe particles that coat your rust-vulnerable items. Save your valuable items with Rust is Bad. Go to www.eyeonthetargetradio.com and follow the link for more information. That's www.eyeonthetargetradio.com for Rust is Bad.
Your front door, your car, your gun. Safety is a habit. Gun safety and responsible storage are no different, and the best way to help prevent accidents, misuse, and theft. Cable locks help keep firearms secured. Learn how to get a free firearm safety kit. Visit projectchildsafe.org. If you have a firearm, own it, respect it, and secure it. Brought to you by the National Shooting Sports Foundation and the Bureau of Justice Assistance.
Shotgun with Charlie.
I'm Charlie Cook from Riding Shotgun with Charlie. Conversations in the car about gun safety, freedoms, and even a few laughs. Imagine you're in the back seat listening to an intimate chat with me and my passengers as we drive all around the country. Listen, watch, and subscribe to the Riding Shotgun with Charlie YouTube channel and podcast.
This is Dan Perkins with your songs and stories for soldiers, Veterans Tip of the Day. If you're a veteran with a disability, are you interested in a program that could give you a free home? Homes for Our Troops is a privately funded 501c3 nonprofit organization that builds and donates specially adapted custom homes nationwide for severely injured post-9/11 veterans to enable them to rebuild their lives. These homes restore some of the freedom and independence our veterans sacrificed while defending our country and enable them to focus on their family and recovery. Since its inception in 2004, nearly 90 cents of every dollar has gone directly to the program to serve veterans. HFOT builds these homes where the veterans choose to live and continues its relationship with the veterans after the home delivery to assist them in rebuilding their lives. For more information, go to their website, www.hfotusa.org, and see if you can qualify for the home of your dreams. This has been your Songs and Stories for Soldiers, Veterans Tip of the Day.
Okay, we're back. You're listening to Eye on the Target Radio with Rob and Amanda. We want to talk about New Jersey and the CNJFO. As I said earlier, they are our newest sponsors. But New Jersey is a civil rights wasteland where an unconstitutional legal standard called justifiable need keeps ordinary citizens from exercising their right to keep to bear arms. They get to keep them. They just can't bear them. New Jersey spits in the eye of freedom, ignores the Bills of Rights, and ignores the Heller decision. New Jersey's anti-gun policies is a spreading cancer. The Coalition of New Jersey Firearms Owners, CNJFO, is a tax-exempt not-for-profit, and it has a goal to defeat justifiable need, reverse the course on all anti-freedom laws, and render aid to other jurisdictions by filing Supreme Court-bound litigation. CNJFO is a beacon of freedom. They are enthusiastic patriots behind the Iron Curtain of New Jersey. Support the Coalition of New Jersey Firearms Owners today. Protect all of our rights and return freedom to the Garden State. To donate or learn more, go to cnjfo.com. So yeah, support them. Do what you can to be friendly to those who are defending our rights. And speaking of being friendly and not friendly, let's talk a little bit about this. It just came over, and this is probably the meanest stunt I have ever seen. And stunt is the key words. So there were a couple Parkland parents. So the Parkland school shooting, you know, the book written by Andrew Pollack, Why Meadow Died, but Manuel and Patricia Oliver, who lost their son Joaquin in the Parkland shooting. They coordinated this event, and I want you to think about how you would be and how you would feel if it were you that they had asked to do this. So what happened was earlier this month, they had hired 2 speakers to speak at the graduation ceremonies of a private school in Las Vegas. And so they asked them to come in. They promised to pay them, pick up their tab, pick up their expenses to bring them into Las Vegas. And they did it in a 2-day event. So the first day they asked them to come practice their speech to the auditorium, and they wanted to record it just in case they had any issues the next day. So they invited David Keene, who was the former president of the National Rifle Association, and Dr. John Lott, who is from crimeresearch.org out of DC. And so they were rehearsing their speech at the James Madison Academy's 2021 graduating class setup. So there were 3,044 white chairs that they were on stage speaking to these chairs. Come to find out that it was not a real school. It was not a real event. And their whole purpose was to publicly embarrass David Keene and Dr. John Lott. Because what they said is these are the children who were killed by gun violence, by mass killers. And so they say that the 3,044 white chairs that he faced were never meant to be filled. The private online high school, it never existed. And when they were questioned, when the parents, when Manuel and Patricia Oliver were questioned, their answer is, well, if they had done a background check on our school, they would know that we didn't exist. So they were hired, and they actually went to Dr. John Lott and they rewrote his speech, and they urged him to put in other things that he did not intend to do or to say. When you go to crimeresearch.org, Dr. John Lott talks about the fact that there are communities that are underserved, they're underprotected, and he fights for the rights for people to be safe and have that ability. But he drove to Nevada to do the rehearsal. He met the supposed school principal, the event organizer, the man who identified as the board chairman. So they have all these actors, all these people involved in this with the sole purpose to record this, to then edit the recording to make them sound bad. So they've already coached and put in there what they want him to say, and in his own words as he's working through the speech, and then they cut and chipped and chopped at it to make it look bad. And then they put it out there. They also...
So did they pay him at the end?
Nope. They stiffed him.
So I hope he sues him and gets paid too.
That is, and Dr. John Lott's like, if somebody wants to debate me, I'm happy to debate. if they have confidence in their arguments, they wouldn't find it necessary to take my talk and to cut it up and to make it come across like I was saying very different things from what I really was saying.
Basic thing from the Liberals on the last time when
what they did to the Virginia.
When they took the AR-15 and took it to Utah or somewhere and tried to sell it or whatever.
That was the Katie Couric thing where they did a straw purchase. But they also then did the interview of the Virginia something. I don't know what their organization's letters are now, but it was the Virginia Citizens Defense League. But it was they ambushed the Virginia folks, and they added in big pauses. They'd ask them a question, those guys answered. So, but when it showed up on TV, they had added 30 seconds of empty airspace, looking like they didn't know. They'd cut in different opportunities for them to be facing and looking at each other, so that they can edit it to make it.
Instead of them answering the question right away, they look at the ground and be quiet for 8 or 10 seconds. And
and it makes you look guilty. It makes you look uneducated. It makes you look unknowledgeable. So this was a setup to the nth degree. So should you see this, you need to know that it was dirty pool. It was dirty politics, and it was a stinky stunt. So their answer is, and it's done by a group called Change the Ref. I don't know what Change the Ref is, but Change the Ref, which produced the stunt with the help of an advertising agency, Leo Burnett, and a production company, Hungry Man. And so all of that is done. So they say, had the men conducted a proper background check on the school, they would have seen that the school is fake, Change the Ref tweeted. So it is, so Manuel Oliver also said the message behind the fake graduation went beyond tricking the two speakers. This is not about bragging. This is not about bragging about doing this to the former president of the NRA. No, this is about pushing our reps to move on universal background check laws. So they're going to try to feed information to our state reps using pro-gun people and modifying their speech and making it so that our representatives think that that's what our pro-gun people said. It is we'll just say it's a crock of cheese, because
when you're doing one of these, you want a copy of this.
They say that that's one of the things that you need to do. If nothing else, you just take your phone and put it on record, so at least you've got the audio portion of it. But because, you want to be able to reach out to the media to have them see your side of it. But you can't, they're just proving you can't trust that. And I say it's a crock of cheese, and my producer says that's no Gouda. So, it's just a shame that ethics aren't around anymore. If you want to discuss it, if you want to debate it, if you want to go fact by fact by fact, that's one thing. But when you set a trap,
but I think the left has they don't have any standing to debate with,
and so they have to. They emotion and traps,
right? So that they can cause this emotion flare up by causing these indecisive moments when you're supposed to be answering a question, or when you're answering a question but you're looking at your floor or doing something, so your body English doesn't match up, your language doesn't match up.
Right, and as soon as they put in where your body language is completely different than the words that you're saying, then anybody watching it who believes those two are connected is like, okay, I can't trust anything that you say. So they can, with the camera, they can set emotions, they can set beliefs, they can set what you believe you see, and we have a belief that if it's a movie, we know a movie's not real. But if it's the news, we believe that the news is real, and we're finding that it is very agendized, and they don't have to be real anymore. And that is an absolute shame. Absolute.
Hi, I'm Janelle Westrom, owner of Davenport Guns and Davenport Shooting Club. At Davenport Guns, we do so much more than sell firearms. We advocate for increased personal safety and security, not just for you, but your whole family and community. Go to davenportguns.com to see our online inventory and browse videos, articles, and things we just find entertaining. Sign up for our newsletter to learn more.
This is Cheryl Todd of Gun Freedom Radio, and I am proud to join Amanda Seppacool and all the 50 women, one from each state, in our grassroots efforts to protect the Second Amendment as delegates of the DC Project. Grassroots organizations like the DC Project run on donations, so please consider donating to our GoFundMe/DC Project to keep the promise of freedom alive.
Ladies, ever wish you could find a brand that understood the difference between feminine and functional? A brand that didn't make you choose between looking good and looking tough. Check out offhandgear.com, a brand designed by a gun girl/mom that closed the gap to give you feminine, durable, functional gear. Offhandgear.com, the brand that gets you.
We all know rust is bad. To help keep rust from forming on your firearms, tools, and other ferrous-based items, you want to have Rust is Bad in your gun-safe toolbox and anywhere you want to be rust-free. Rust is Bad bolsters and G-strings deposit small, safe particles that coat your rust-vulnerable items. Save your valuable items with Rust is Bad. Go to www.eyeonthetargetradio.com and follow the link for more information. That's www.eyeonthetargetradio.com for Rust is Bad.
Okay, you ask yourself, who is this Realize Firearms Awareness Coalition, and what do they do? Realize Firearms Awareness Coalition is a not-for-profit group based in Portage County, registered as a 501c3, and organized to educate about the historical intent of the Second Amendment to the Constitution of the United States of America, to share knowledge, to enable citizens to accurately relate and defend aspects of the U.S. Constitution, to enhance public awareness and support for responsible gun ownership, and to emphasize firearms education for women who facilitate the transmittal of constitutional awareness and gun ownership to succeeding generations. How do they intend to do that? By talking to you all and having you talk back, by hosting educational summits and events. So tune in, listen, and participate. RealizeFAC.com.
Your front door, your car, your gun. Safety is a habit. Gun safety and responsible storage are no different, and the best way to help prevent accidents, misuse, and theft. Cable locks help keep firearms secured. Learn how to get a free firearm safety kit. Visit projectchildsafe.org. If you have a firearm, own it, respect it, and secure it. Brought to you by the National Shooting Sports Foundation and the Bureau of Justice Assistance.
Grab your friends and head to Georgia to train with the Complete Combatant. The Complete Combatant offers a unique approach to self-defense training, layering the first signs of danger, lethal versus non-lethal decisions, and even surviving the aftermath. They offer premier firearms training with a range master certified instructor and host the top minds in our industry. See the courses offered on thecompletecombatant.com. That's thecompletecombatant.com.
Okay, folks, I know that you have heard of Sutherland Springs, the First Baptist Church of Southern Springs, and Stephen Williford, who was a guy that was minding his own business in his own house, kind of hanging around, barefoot, sweatpants.
I thought he was sleeping or something. They went in and woke him up, and he come out, got his gun and a handful of bullets, and went outside to see what was
barefoot.
going on.
And he took off. So the church was across the road and down a little bit, but Stephen Williford grabbed a handful of bullets in his AR and took off to defend the church from Devin Kelly, who was 26, a former airman, who attacked the church. And so the interesting thing is that as they dug through this, and Stephen Willeford went after Kelly, and Kelly took off, and Stephen Willeford actually barefoot, sweatpants, holding his rifle, flagged down a pickup truck and said, "Follow that car." And they followed that car to not let him out of his sight. And so if you haven't heard Stephen Willeford's story, you ought to. But this is the rest of the story, as Paul Harvey says. The rest of the story is that Devin Kelly, who was a prohibited person because he had an assault conviction in 2012, he was released from the U.S. Air Force in 2014 for bad conduct. Those things precluded him from being able to buy a firearm, yet no one submitted that information into the background check system. So we all are like, okay, so we have to go through a background check, and the information should be current. The information should be up to date.
There were a lot of things they were finding at that time where police were waiting 3-4 months before they turned in the stuff all at one time.
All at one time. There was a
one guy wasn't putting anything in the system at all. The Air Force was a couple of years behind on what they were putting into the thing.
So the
garbage in, garbage out, as they say, right?
Right.
If there's nothing in there for you to find, that a background check isn't really going to do any good.
The lawyers from the victims of the First Baptist Church of Sutherland Springs went after the gun shop that sold the gun to Devin Kelly. And so they sued the gun shop, saying that you should have known that he couldn't have that gun. Well, they did their background check, and they found nothing when they did the background check because it had not been submitted by the U.S. government. It had not been submitted by from the assault conviction and or from the bad conduct discharge. Neither one of them had been submitted in. So they did a background check and found nothing. And so there was nothing to preclude him. There's nothing in the system to preclude him from buying a firearm. Well, that is exactly what the PLCAA, the Protection in Lawful Commerce in Arms Act, that is exactly what the PLCAA protects, is the fact that if you don't know, if you shouldn't have known, if it was sold in good standing and good thought and good belief and following the law as it is known to you, with the information, knowing what you knew at the time you knew it, that information. So anyhow, the Texas Supreme Court has ruled that Academy Sports Chain cannot be sued for selling the gun used in Texas' deadliest mass shooting. So the Texas Tribune published this. It's a non-profit, nonpartisan media organization that informs Texans and the rest of us what's going on about public policy, politics, government, and statewide issues. So it's an interesting thing because right now Bushmaster in Connecticut is being sued and ignoring the PLCAA. Here in Texas, they were like, nope, we're invoking the PLCAA. So in both cases, in Connecticut, the suit that they're being sued for was where the mother who bought the gun legally was murdered for the gun so that they could commit the crime of the Sandy Hook murders. So what makes that any different? What makes Bushmaster responsible for the fact that someone was murdered to get access to it?
If they kill you to get access to your gun, then apparently it's beyond your control.
You've pretty much put it
on my control.
Right.
I used up all of my control to that
at about
point.
that moment. Right. I just, you're sitting here looking at some of this and it's like, what? I'm very, very concerned about what's going on in Connecticut. I'm very concerned about the defense of the PLCAA.
Some of the courts, depending on what's going on, but when Trump was in there, he put a lot of new judges in.
Mm-hmm.
So you get some judges that actually have some common sense, and you get in the other. You got a lot of old line judges that have been in there that were put in with the different liberal agendas over the years, and so you get whatever feels good at that point.
Right. A lot of judges are crocks of cheese, as our producer says. A lot of lawyers, a lot of judges. But no, it really is the liberal swing of our court system, and we're trying to swing it back.
Well, the thing is we kind of lost control 40 years ago, and we are slowly taking control. We just had that one article. It has taken us years. Right, it'll take us another 40 years to get it back
to get the control back, or to stop the push.
We had the one article about the people that were in Florida, 18 to 21, and that, and so now in Kansas, the legislature votes to override the governor's veto of lowering the age for concealed carry. So they're going to let 18 to 20-year-olds carry concealed carry in Kansas.
Because the governor had vetoed it, and they had an override. So they had a big enough amount of votes to override the governor's veto, and so that is really that's a good place to be when you're doing a bill that is potentially controversial or against your somewhat restrictive or liberal-ish or anti-Second Amendment type governors.
Well, you have a governor that's gone off the deep end for some reason.
There is so.
Our governor was doing one thing, and now all of a sudden he has a completely different idea of what needs to be done. So he's trying to talk everybody into voting on his Safer Ohio bill, which is really a go nowhere bill.
It's all gun control, and he tried to shove it into the budget so that nobody would notice and they would pass the budget, and they pushed back against it. But that's, there's all of these things where there's all these little games and, all the chess pieces moving. And, well, if I can't do this, then I'm going to do this. And, he actually ran saying that he was a pro-Second Amendment governor.
Well, they all say that, and then they try to get a picture where they're out hunting or something.
Oh, those pictures make me insane, because you see them and it's like, it's very obvious that
guns upside down and backwards, and
that you've never, you're gonna be like, what was it on that? Golly, what was that girl's Jane? When Jane was hunting with the scoped rifle and she blacked her eye. Right. That's kind of what you see, is that they'll let you literally, Mr. Governor, black your own eye because you have no idea. You have no idea how to hold the gun and how to act safely.
And you can be pro, whatever you want to call it, enduro motorcycle racing, but not know how to do it. But you don't have to get a picture.
You don't have to get a picture looking like you're riding,
jump or something.
Finishing on the finish line, and nobody else knows that you finished 740th out of 270 people. Right? They lapped you a couple races.
Right.
Something like that. I don't know. So folks, I don't know if we've told you lately that not only are we doing the radio show via radio, we're doing it via podcast. So if you miss a show, you can go back and you can get it wherever podcasts are available. So that you can dump it to your phone. You can listen to it on Stitcher, on Google Play Music, on whatever all of those podcasty things are.
And remember, go to Car Arms and buy yourself something nice.
Well, there is that. You can also see us in action. Not that it's real exciting, but you can see us by going to OpsLens on On-Demand TV.